Welcome back everyone to Steve's Place Down Under. Today we're going to try and start up this Chamberlain tractor that hopefully some of you saw in the last episode. If not, go back and watch it first. Okay everyone, last episode you may have seen a bar on the front of it. It was stuck in gear, so the engine did turn, and we flicked her into neutral, and it moved even further, obviously with the transmission in gear. So the bar's hitting the tyre now. We can go another click on the ratchet, but I think I'd rather pull these injectors out first, get some cylinder lubricant happening in there, and I think if we can get it all spinning over, I'd like to start it. I think if the engine goes in these old mechanical things, everything's going to work. So obviously can't drive it, the tyres are no good. Front tyres 920, I've got plenty of them in stock. Actually be good to use a couple of them. So it's an L4 Perkins, which I believe is a 270. Got a different injector pump and a few different housings on it to the 270 I've got in the Champion 9G I've got over there. It's got a rotary CAV fuel pump on it. This one's got a Sims type inline injector pump, but I think they are 270, but correct me if I'm wrong. Inline Perkins 4-cylinder, so what has saved it, that exhaust pipe being down like that, the air cleaner, the bowl was rusted off, so it hasn't been getting in there. The only thing worrying me here is 2 caps have been taken off it. Now I'm not sure how long they've been off, because I mean it's got water on the dipstick, but it's not, I mean it can only go as high as this, but that's higher than the cylinders too, but I don't know. Hopefully they've been taken off recently, but I doubt it. Those of you who think I talk too much, I don't care. I'm explaining this stuff. This is history, and I'm not just starting it up. So this was part of those of you who didn't see the previous episode of us picking it up, this was part of a travelling circus here where I live now. Bullen's Brothers, Bullen's Animal World, Bullen's Circus. This was part of, they used to drive this all around the country, following the circus around it and unloading all the tents and driving in the poles and everything with it, the tent pegs. There's a lot of history about it, and when I do a start, there's an F12 Volvo over there too, which I'm going to interview one of the Bullen's brothers about. I'll ask a bit about this too for those of you who are interested, because it's got a lot of history. A lot of local blokes were part of that circus many years ago, and one story I do believe that the steering wheel bent like that was a bloke, they were going down a hill with her, and there was a couple of blokes on it, and they were pushing that hard on the brake pedal and pulling up on the steering wheel trying to slow her up, and that's what happened. So that is fair dinkum, it's not made up. A lot of stories like that with it, and if the family ever want it back, it's here, it's not scrap, so that's great. So what we're going to do now is pull them injectors out and try and get some cylinder lubricant in there. When I say that, I'll probably mean diesel or kerosene or something like that. Okay, so I don't think my wife's ever touched a spanner before. She's over here drinking me beer, and now she's going to pull the squirters out of this. This old Perkins. Going to get the injectors out of it, and then we're going to, well, hopefully they come out, hopefully they're not rotted into the head, and then we'll pour some lubricant down there and see if that starter works, I guess.
Is that far enough? Will it come completely off?
Far enough. You see the pipe turning with it? Oh, that one's broken off. If you get on eBay tonight on the lounge, get some parts for her. Well, just free that up. It's come out of that tube, so I won't need that. That one's come off too, but it's free.
I can't do that one. Oh.
First casualty. It's expected, I suppose, when there's that much stuff piled up on them. I think it'll be this easy. I know some of you are probably cringing now, but you can only piss with the cock you got, so it is what it is. You learn all these little tricks when you drag machines out of the wilderness that have sat there for all these years. I'm going to do what it takes to get it apart and get it to go. Tight that bugger. Might even put it on the tester over there and see if they all squirt up. I feel like a good squirter. Ah, there we go. Okay. Another blow down. Hardest part now will be getting that broken stud out, but I can drill that and I can do whatever it takes to get that out. So I mean, they don't look terrible. There's a bit of rust there where they go into the head, but the tips certainly aren't rusty at all, which means there's no water in that cylinder. Okay. Might make a bit of a mix-up, a bit of oil and diesel or something. Diesel's not really, I know people fill things up with diesel, but it's not a penetrant, it's only really a lubricant. So ideally you'd need a drum of WD or something like that to tip down there that will penetrate those rings. But they're all moving, so I think we only need some diesel will just help it lubricate the bores as well as clean any grime out of those rings. It might help them free up, it mightn't do anything, but certainly going to be better than being dry. So we'll do that now, we'll fill those up, and we might put a tub under the sump and drop that. Okay, so we're back at the Chamberlain here trying to get this engine to a stage where we might be able to start it. Excuse me. I've just gone live this morning. I've done a live stream for the first time and it went well. Had quite a few viewers, more than I thought. So in that process, it went for an hour and 20 minutes or something, and in that time I'd done a bit of work to this. So we have skipped ahead a little bit. First of all, what we did, I took the sump plug out, like I mentioned before, and it was a little bit of water came out, but it was a lot of water came out, but no oil. So it was that gluggy. There's an inspection cover on the oil pan and the pickup screen. So I've since washed all that out. There's still a bit of sludgy stuff in there I can't get out because there's a baffle in the sump, but it's, you know, with new, I'm going to put some fresh oil in it, some lower grade stuff that I've got here, and if it does go, get all that warm and drop it again, and that'll eventually all come out or get caught in the filter if we change that. So that's ready to go back on. I've just got to clean up the surface where it bolts to. I had the engine spinning fine now. It was only going, I don't know, 40 or 50 degrees either way and stopping. So I found that one of the lifters has seized in the bore and was holding a valve down. So push rod was tight like it was up on the cam load, but it wasn't. So when the piston was coming up, I could see it flexing this valve. So I've just relaxed the rocker shaft and she goes right round. Now you can see that push rod's a little bit bent there from, I was trying to lightly tap it, or from turning it. So something's loaded that up, which doesn't matter. I have got a stud to get out here, which is going to be one of the bigger problems. I have to block all these holes off, and I mean, I've drilled a lot of studs out in my time. The equipment I've got here compared to where I do work is a lot less, so I'll see what I can do with what I've got. I don't know if I'll put a stud back in there or just a bolt, but anyway, I'll get it out to a stage where we can hopefully start it. So I'll put that oil pan back on. I did pull so this runs a diaphragm on the fuel rack. So it's got a butterfly in the inlet manifold. It was seized, or still is. I pulled it out, cleaned it up, because it had a lot of stuff in there. It had a lot of corrosion, but it didn't seem to make its way into the head too bad. So whether it's just reacted with this aluminium housing, I'd say that was the case, and it all got caught on the butterfly. One way or the other, it didn't get too far in the head anyway. So I've got to free that up and put it back on, which is easy. Loosen the belt off. One bloke suggested I cut it, and I do agree, but if I do run it, I want it spinning too for that water pump, and I don't think I'd have one, so I left it on there. It's just loose, so that wasn't stopping the engine anyway, but it was the valve. I saw that, so I've got a full turn out of it. I'd like to put some oil in it, free these lifters up, and obviously drill that stud out. It's going to be one of the hardest things, but the nuts aren't tight, so that one there is about to go too. You can see that there was just stuff sitting between the valve cover and that stud, and it just caught moisture over the 40 or so years that it sat there. So I'll put that cover back, or maybe I should even do that now so I can flush it again. I might do that first, try and get that out. That's going to be one of the hardest tasks here, so I'll sit the cover back on and block these injector ports out and try and get that out. Can't really get anything in here. Just want to cut that down to a level surface so I can drill it. So I just shocked it down there with a dolly and a hammer just to shock the thread to loosen it all up, and I thought I'll just tap a single hex socket over it and see what happens, and it actually came out, which is going to save a lot of work. So just where I mushroomed it over, hitting it with the dolly, that the socket cut its own path onto it without you hurting the socket either, and it's come out. So there we go there. Just identify that thread, and I think we'll just use a bolt as long as it's the right depth, unless I can find a stud, which I doubt. Put that plate on the sump, clean all this out still. I did vacuum this morning, but all the rest is still corroded there. I'll do that now. So that's put us ahead quite a bit. Thinking I was going to have to do a lot more work to that, but I'm not now. It's come out lovely, so I won't touch that other one. It's in there, and then they're not overly tight to start with, so I'm not worried about it being a bit loose, a bit rusted, I mean. So we've got to free these lifters up, whichever ones that are stuck, and we've got to make sure all these little oil feed holes are clear. It lubricates these rockers on that shaft. I did soak this last night in just a diesel and a ATF mixture. I think they were all moving before. Really need to get the starter working so I can bump it over and see what valves are working. It's hard with that bar on the front of the crank. So what I might do is put the plate on the bottom of the sump, get some oil in it and try and get the starter to work if all these lifters are moving. Okay, so we've got the plate on the bottom. I didn't video that under there. Try and tip a little bit of this oil into it now. Probably about 10 litres. Sure how much it'll hold. If it's over or under, it's not really going to matter. It's not going anywhere. We just want to run her and flush her. And yeah, she's right on the full mark. Probably still going up though with it running down in there. It's certainly enough. Now I don't know. I've touched the filter because one, I haven't got one, and two, it would have been turned off, so it hasn't yet sucked the water up into it unless it found its own way in there over the years. So I could probably clean it, but I certainly wouldn't have an element for it. So probably should do that now before we do try and start her and wind it. Try and do this one hand because there's nowhere to really sit the camera that you can see into here with. If I don't ruin the gasket, I guess I could make something up. Once it goes, I know it's going to be right. I'll spend a few bucks on some parts, but until then, I'm not overly keen on spending money on it until it's going to be right. It's pretty clean, really. So that's not great by any means, but it's not water either. There's no water that's gotten in that. So I'm going to put it back in because I haven't got anything else, and I want it to catch all the sludge. So we'll see if she builds up pressure and I'll be able to get one. Doesn't look like anything special or unique, but I'll certainly get one if it's going to start. No, I had to put the camera down because the plug was stuck in the top of it. Might even give it a rinse with something just to thin it out a bit so it does pump it through, and then we'll put it back in. So I've just got a 12-volt battery sitting in it. I wanted to stand here and just tap the starter with a button I've got and just make sure all those valves are returning lightly, tap the lifters down and try and get all that working rather than use a bar. I know it's a bit dangerous if one hits, but it's a lot of work with that frame on the front there, just with a socket. And I've only got an inch socket that fits, and I've only got a 3/4 ratchet with no adapter, so it's hard resetting it all. But We'll just try and see if this starter works, which doesn't look like it. I'd say all the brushes are, you go straight onto the motor too. Nothing's happening there either, so I'm going to have to pop that off and pull it apart. It'd be full of water like all the rest of them that sit around. So that's the next stage. I'll pull that off and get it in on the bench. Sort of the best angle I can give you is to take this starter off. There's nowhere really to sit it out here. Tripod's not real good on the trailer here. Good when you're working on the ground. As old as it is, everything seems to be undoing pretty well, as long as it's sat out in the elements. Okay, we got her in here on the workbench. Going to pop the solenoid off it. We'll have to strip her all apart and see what's going on with it, whether it's seized up, whether it's a contact, whether it's something like that. Some of these nuts are rusted and they've become a different size. Bit of an oddball there too, you can't really get the socket in there. Well, she's full of hornets. I don't know how they got in there, but look at that. That may actually work. It just couldn't pull it in since she's all locked up there, so actual solenoid itself may work. You could always power it up and see what it does. And we'll free all this up and just sit it back on there. The actual Bendix she's not thrown out. It's seized up, not completely, but it's not travelling. So we'll start with pulling the back of it off. See if we can't undo these super long thread there covered in rust. I know what will undo it if this won't, but I'd rather not go to that extreme yet. Oh yeah, no wonder she didn't work. Got all that rust in her. 40 odd years, I sort of can't blame it. To play. Okay, so my dad's gone down to pull the starter off. Oh, I've got a David Brown 1200 down the back, which come from the same organisation. I got it years ago, but just as they were cleaning up, I slowly brought them home as they were given to me. But you can see in here that that's all held water. That being the bottom of the starter, that band has held water in there, and it's rusted some of the brush holders out, and one of the springs is completely gone. So, well, there it is there, it just fell out, but that's meant to be a coil spring or what's left of it. So looked like the starter on the David Brown was nearly identical, opposite side of the engine of course, but not sure that will matter. But anyway, it'll have the same parts if not. But so I'll keep pulling this one apart. These screws are right through, and one of them's coming out, but it's rusted in the other end here. But they're also rusted thin right through, so there's not a lot of strength in the shank of the screw itself. So I'm trying not to break that because I don't have another one if that starter's any different. Just giving you a bit different view here. My gimbal just went flat. That's what I had it set up on. So I thought I'd have a cold sandwich. It's about 3 o'clock in the afternoon now, so Saturday afternoon. I have a few earlier ones, and I've got to look after the kids tonight, so I won't be having a big night, so I'll have a few tasty ones now. They're only mid-strength. I have got a little heat torch that I could. I'd say it is jammed in the thread because you can feel it flexing the whole way through. Hey, a bit of perseverance, I got her out. Put that one out. You can see that rust, what I was worried about. That's why I didn't want to give it too much, and it's probably a miracle it did come out. That one's not as bad, but that was on top of the starter, so again that something's happened. That band held all the water in and she just all lay on the bottom of the starter. Pretty sure that bolt is just a terminal onto that earth. I don't think it's holding anything. I've already been to my mate once this week, Brian, to get a brush for the solenoid on the Sami tractor, on the Centauro, that V4 one, so depending on how this David Brown one looks when he gets it back up here, I may have to see him again. He's only up the road, but I don't really like bothering him with this old stuff. If the bearing's locked up or the brushes have got hold of it. So as you can see, that I had no luck of getting that to work with the battery, but you never know your luck. It's worth trying. So if I flick that brush out, should release that end cap, and there we go. So you can see with the, obviously the bottom of the starters was here. You see the water line, even that bearing's come out of there, so she's grabbed onto that too. It's certainly usable again if we can clean it up. We just need that spring, and you know, so that brush is even stuck. We just need the spring really. Replace that bolt. That did break. It's rusted 2 springs off, I can see. It's not in the best order, but it's not in great order, but it's, you know, same time it's not bad. was a little dowel that goes in there. I don't know if it dropped or where it went. Generally hits the end of your boot and goes under the bench. Oh, it could be anywhere. Let's go and blow this out. Okay, so I've got it back to a stage where we can, if we get an end cap and some springs, we can put that back together. That's all cleaned up, ready to go. So I'll see what Dad brings back off this other one. Okay, this is out of a David Brown 1200, I think I said. I'd say it's identical. Both Pommy machines, both British machines. So using the Lucas starter, I think. So one's Perkins, one's obviously David Brown. So might just pop this off again, just see what that covers like. If we can just graft that onto that one, and I think we'll be in business. This particular tractor, I'm sure it was this one, ended up in the, we've got a pit over there for when they cut all the animals up and everything, all the waste from all the feeding and cutting up the animals all runs into a pit many years ago, and this David Brown ended up in it, and I think they used it after, but it's seized up now, the engine in it, but it hasn't been on the channel unless it's been in the background. So I don't think I'll ever get it to go, but I'd like to, because it's a big machine and it's another one for the collection. But as long as it's sitting there, you never know. If I ever went full time, and which is a long way off that, but it could be something we could work on. Be certainly a lot better content if I was full time, but I'm sort of just trying to fit all this in on the weekends, but doing what we can. A few of these bolts are the same length. Look a lot better condition. Yeah, it's pretty well the same. We could make it work. I have tried hitting this starter with power before to see if the engine would go, and it's locked up, but it was throwing in, just hitting the flywheel and stopping. So I think that looks to be in really good condition. Actually, it's a shame it doesn't bolt in. I counted the teeth, and it's actually one more tooth than the Chamberlain one, which is fine. We just got to swap the end plate over. If you bear with us, I hope this does work. She's nearly brand new compared to that other one. Look at that. That's just beautiful. Not a lot of rust sticks to these brushes because they're carbon, so just give them a clean off and they slide and contact or whatever they've got to do, and I'm sure they'll be fine. Okay, so that actually fits.
Huh?
Okay, it's on there. I'm not sure about a few of these battery connections, but give her a go regardless. See what happens. Can't get enough power through these old terminals. She's throwing, but then it's just fuck all power. Well, she's not turning it. I don't know if it's hitting that valve still. I just might get on that bar and see what she does. She's certainly hitting something still. Starting to squeeze all that. All that diesel out. I've gone round a full turn with the bar, but now she's squeezing it out with the. Even the hydraulic pump's working. She's starting to bloody pump oil out of that control valve over there. Give her another wind. I've just diverted the hydraulic feed line back to the tank, so it does leak, but at least it's not pumping out all over the step. Starter's right, but right. Oh, I don't know if it's right. Okay, I'll put the injectors back in it. All I really need now is a fuel supply once these are done up. I'll put these back in. All I really need then is a fuel supply. So I've cut the lines going to the old tank, which I won't use anymore. If I ever do get it going properly, I'll probably run a different tank anyway. And then we can just clamp a rubber line onto those existing copper ones that I just cut. Found a 3/8 UNF bolt to replace that stud that we got out earlier. Not going overly tight with these. They may leak a bit, but the studs aren't great, so I'll just have to check a tension. 3/8 bolt's about 38 foot-pound, but probably less for these, I'm not sure. Such a big surface on the end of these injectors, these copper washers on the end of these, you've got to make sure it all pulls down fairly, well, dead straight. Sort of got to feel it. Okay, all we need now is a fuel supply. Hopefully that old lift pump works. Okay, so I've got a drum of diesel. Cut those lines, like I said, going to that old tank, because that'll never be used. There's no bottom left in it. I can just clamp a rubber hose to those to whatever tank I put on it later. So I've got fuel to the filter. Now I'm just trying to fill the pump up. So I pressurised the drum, but it's not coming out there. So what I might do is wind it over and see if that lift pump does work. It's been submerged in diesel this whole time, so there's a chance it's still going to do the job we need it to do right now. So injectors are back in it, like you saw. It's going to have more compression now, so I don't know what the starter's going to do, but we need fuel to come out here before we can do anything else. So we'll see how we go. She's there now. That's bled to the injector pump. And I don't think we've got to supply a pressure from that lift pump, so whether it's stuck or it's just dried right out not doing anything, I don't know. Experience of these I've had, they do stick out. Cam pushes them out and then they stay there, but we'll see. it was stuck. It should be pulsating out here if that's working. That's working. I really think that's working. Fucking lift pump's working or not. Try it. I had it up there before. Fucking strange. There we go. Get the lift pump going again. It was coming out before, now it's not. Doing anything, no air even coming out of it. Top. Going through the lift pump. It was before. Block? It's not blocked, no. Not great either. We're just going to try and get fuel. We got fuel to the top of the lift pump. Had a couple of stuck valves in the lift pump. I'm going to see if it comes out the injector lines now. That one's good.
So it'll lift it from here.
Well, it's going through the lift pump. Give her a shot of these. Let's take that start.
Worked on.
It's about to go.
Lovely. How far up with that?
That should be it.
It is, yeah. Especially in all cans, but you don't have power to Those injectors not should be throwing smoke out there.
Chloe.
That's on that battery all right over there. It's got nothing at all. That's it's rooted too. Okay everyone, it's 2 weeks later. Last weekend I had 2 full days so I couldn't come back near it. So I think the last episode we had fuel coming out of one injector line. And it sounded like it was chuffing a little bit, like there's a valve open. So if we do get all injectors bled, it sounds like it may only be trying to start on 3 cylinders, but that should clear up once it warms up and blows everything out of it. I'd say that chuff's going to clear unless it's the reason it was parked up. I'm not sure. So we did try this stuff. Start Your Bastard. A few of you said is that an actual product and thought it was just a name I made up, but yes it is. You can buy it here, but in my opinion it's absolute rubbish. Newline is a good brand, but I've never had much success on this stuff. When we're trying to start the Transstar there, this wouldn't even make the starter go quicker. Just, I know we shouldn't be using it on that, but just to save the starter, trying to get fuel up to it without a primer bulb, we were giving it a bit of this to save the batteries and starter, but it wouldn't even help. But then we went and got some of this stuff, Aerostart, which is the best you can buy. If something doesn't start on this, it's got other issues. So as soon as we give the 871 in that a bit of a squirt with it, away it went. So we're going to try that on this one now. There's a few old engines here I've never had success with that Start Your Bastard, but this is always good. So if this doesn't start on that, it's either spinning too slow or there's other issues. It's got no compression or something. So we've charged the batteries again. I think that's why we stopped last time we tried. So we've got 2 charged batteries here now, and if they run out we'll go and pull them out of something else just to see what happens. So we'll try and get fuel back up. It's probably ran out over the week, but get that back up and we'll see what she does again. Had a play off camera just to try and bleed it up without taking too much battery time and everything up. These 2 here have got fuel, these 2 haven't. I just pulled this one off camera again, popped the delivery valve out and it was seized. When we popped it up, all that pressure had built up and it let go. So I've had a fine bit of paper in there and cleaned it all up. I'll do this one on camera, see if it does the same thing. All that pressure's gone though, so I think it'll be gone. Unless it's accumulated in each one. But see that valve there's tight, it's stuck. That should be very free, and see the fuel that just released. This one would have let the pressure out, so that's still tight there. Would have been just a bit of moisture in the fuel or something that done it, or sitting there for 40 years. That's all it took. That's free now, so it should have 4 cylinders worth of fuel now. It's providing all those injectors are working, which I didn't test on the machine, but they all had fuel in them, so I was assuming they were right. But seeing this is locked up, they may be as well, but we'll try. We'll see what happens now, and if not, we'll have to test the injectors on that tester I've got. Dad's holding the Camry. Just leave them loose so we can bleed the lines, tighten her up down here. Okay, they should all squirt now. I'll wind it over while I've got the camera on it.
Getting smoke down here. They're not getting fuel, are they? Give that pump.
Yeah, it's tight. There was a couple of pistons stuck up inside the pump too. I've since freed them up. They pushed up with the cam, but we didn't follow it back down, so they appear to be working now, so we're just going to give it another go. I've got a feeling about it, that's why I put the camera back on. Just locking it up. Okay, we stuffed about off camera a bit more and pulled the starter back off. It was getting hot. This is one I rebuilt, obviously, in this episode. I'm just backtracking, but off. This is the one off it, but with parts off the David Brown. So I just went and pulled a starter off. My grandfather had a Chamberlain with a 270 in it as well, a reversed one. So I went and pulled the starter off that just now. I didn't video it, and we put it on, so we're going to try it. If it spins quicker, I think it's going to go. So let's give her a go. Better than it was. Better than it.
Bottom. Oh.
Is that what went bad? I'm sure.
Yeah.
What'd she do against it?
Just blew it right out. Yeah. Okay, we got it starting really, really well now. Swapped the starter off my grandfather's old one there just to get it spinning a bit quicker, see what had happened, and it fired basically straight up. So as you saw, but now it's over pressurising the oil system. So you can see here on my new floor, she keeps blowing that tin lid there on that oil filter housing. It just keeps blowing that open, and got me straight in the eyes before. It's that much pressure in there, just blew it open and got me. I'm a bit blurry at the moment, but anyway, she's all running. It's obviously got pressure. It's getting it to the top, so I don't know if the bit of that old filter there blew a bit of that into the journal and into the gallery and blocked up, or having water in the sump, the relief spring and everything's not working. So that relief, it's a relief valve as well as a bit of a governor too. So when she's pumping through all them galleries, it just keeps relieving it. And so if that's stuck, it's going to maximum pressure. So I think there's about 300 ml of oil left in it. I'm just draining out, and I'll drop that cover off and try and have a look at that relief valve. There's a big inspection cover on the sump. Hopefully that allows me to get to it. So I was hoping to finish this episode here, but it's going to continue on. So I did this off camera because it was filthy, but I dropped the inspection plate off the oil pan there. It's got a row of 6 bolts, 6 nuts around it. And what that does is give you access to the pickup screen for the oil pump and the pressure relief valve. Pressure relief valve is like a regulator valve too, so it regulates the pressure of that oil pump. And that ball in that was rusted, and the spring was full of gunk, and the actual holes that relieve it back to the sump were blocked. So it was going to maximum pressure, that pump. So I'm assuming that's what's wrong with it, because I did find a problem. So what we're going to do now is just crank it back up. It's getting late here, but I'll see if she goes again, and that'll finish this video for will it start. And then if we do any more to it, it'll be a fix it video. And what I'd actually like to use this if I can get a back wheel. That rim there is rusted, but the rest of it, these are 920s, which I've got ample amounts of. So the front ones aren't a problem. I've got 2 28-inch tyres for the back. I just need one rim, so I might even get them off that John Deere, which are 30s, but I might be able to make them adapt. So I'm now going to pass this to my wife, and I'm going to climb up on the trailer here and see if we can see what she does now. It'll start again. It's just a matter of if that oil filter will hold that pressure now. Okay everyone, sat 40 years and it took me probably all up about 8 hours after doing all the top end and everything. So 40 years, it could be give or take 4 or 5 years, but I'm guessing 40 years, but I will find out. But I'm saying that because ever since I've been going there, it's sat there. So 270 Perkins, freed all the rack up, that's a starter off something else. Now I can spend a couple of bucks on it, on getting that starter done up. There will be more work on this, but this is the end of the will it start video. So if I can get a wheel, that'll be the next thing. Apart from that, we might do a video unloading it. I'll probably have to use that old steel wheel crane or the Komatsu 22-ton excavator down there, but we'll do something. We might even use the forklift in something later model. But anyway, we've got to get it off this trailer regardless, so that will be the next step. Anything I do, I might tinker with it a bit off camera. But so thank you to the Patreon members, the people buying merchandise. We're sending out a bit of that at the moment. There's more to come. We're still trying to get going after having a break when we got married. So thanks again everyone, and hopefully you can stick around and watch the next episode. Thanks everyone.